I'm Lindsay Fifield with Hiring Our Heroes. Welcome to our Small Business Tournament of Veteran Champions Hangout. We teamed up with Spike TV to find a way to highlight veteran-friendly small businesses and search for the most veteran-friendly small business in America. We're in sort of the home stretch of our competition, and now our 8 finalists are up for public voting at VetChampstourney.com. The winner will receive a custom spot on Spike TV that touts their veteran-friendly practices. So today I'm joined with Tom from VRHabilis. They are one of our 8 finalists in this competition. We're excited to give everyone a chance to really get to know all of our small business finalists through these Hangouts. So first off, Tom, thank you so much for joining us today. Congratulations on being selected as one of our finalists. To get started, can you tell us about VRHabilis and how it got started?
First, thank you very much for having me on. We're very excited about this whole competition, and we know that there's a lot of very good companies out there doing a lot of work with veterans, and it's quite an honor to be selected here into the Elite 8. I have to send my partner Elliot Adler's apologies. He's actually out in the field with some boys up at Fort McCoy, Wisconsin now, cleaning up a range up there. So he couldn't get to the same computer that I'm at. So anyway, VRHabilis started from the very beginning. Our concept was to hire disabled veterans, and the first 2 disabled veterans that we wanted to employ was myself and my partner Elliot, because both of us were out of work. So we started VRHabilis with the intent of creating a workspace where disabled veterans could come and work and be comfortable. It has been quite a bit more difficult to achieve some of our goals than we had anticipated. Our naivete in entering business, particularly in the federal marketplace, really, well, we knew what we knew when we knew it, and so there's been a pretty steep learning curve over the past 5 years. Although we're gaining on a lot of the ground that we have. Basically we started the company, and we looked at what skill sets we had that were immediately saleable, and I'll talk about this a little bit more. But the things that we could do that were of immediate interest to clients out in the federal workplace were that we knew everything about explosives and we knew everything about diving. So originally the company started out as a range remediation, unexploded ordnance diving company. We have our kind of standard comment when asked what we did. We used to say, well, everything having to do with diving or explosives. Now that attributes about 50% of our revenue, as we've expanded into the environmental area, light construction. And then we have a outreach program that is just starting to gain traction, which I'll talk about a little bit later. But basically, what happened was my experience in transitioning from the military into the civilian world was very difficult. I came out of the SEAL teams. I came out of having commanded troops in Afghanistan into a civilian world that I really didn't understand. And although I love the Veterans Affairs Administration at the time, they were not understanding the needs of veterans coming out of the war. So I had been in a helicopter crash. I had fractured my neck and my spine, and they took a disc out, and I had a plate in my neck. And so when the VA looked at all that, they said, well, we can send you to vocational school to teach you data entry, because you're never going to do anything but sit at a desk for the rest of your life. And I was like, no, that's not acceptable. So a couple of years later, when Elliot and I were sitting there in a hotel room discussing this, one of the goals that we wanted to do was to allow VRHabilis to be a place where veterans could come, regardless of their interest and regardless of their situation, and find employment. Well, we haven't gotten there yet. Matter of fact, we're still quite a ways away from there. but the intent is still intact. We want to run a lifestyle business, and what a lifestyle business is that you work with us because you want to work with us, because it fits your lifestyle, because you're doing the things that you want to do. So right now we're at a phase in our growth where we've got about, depending on the number, the statistics don't really work. Depending on the number of people that we have in the field, we can have upwards of 90% of our workforce veterans and service disabled veterans. And we're looking to maintain that.
That's excellent, Tom. So what strategies have you used to attract and retain veterans to your company?
The strategies that we use to attract them is we try and have as desirable a workplace as we can. We're as you can tell by my suit and tie, we're dirty shirt kind of guys. We spend a lot of time in the field and doing not necessarily physical labor, but we like to be out. We like to be outside doing work. And I think to some extent, the reason that I like working with veterans is because we have a shared experience. And that shared experience, whether you're in combat or not, whether you're in the Marines or the Air Force, you still have a shared experience that I think enables the workplace to operate more efficiently. We try our very best to keep people in fields that they enjoy. Everybody at some times has to do something that they're not particularly fond of, but we do our best to keep people engaged. We have a very flexible work environment. We understand. Most of our, matter of fact, all of our office stuff is done in a virtual environment. So if you're, we have a manager that lives in Texas, a manager that lives in Knoxville, a manager that lives in Wisconsin. Those people don't have to come into an office every day. We do that in a virtual environment. And that seems to work out just fine. As far as retention, we really haven't had any problems with retention, because I think that people truly enjoy working in the environment that we create.
Well, that's wonderful. Earlier you mentioned, you touched on this a little bit, but what kinds of things does VRHabilis do in your community? I know you have different locations, as you just mentioned, Knoxville, Wisconsin, Texas. Are you active in your local communities across the country, or what ways do you get involved in your community with veterans?
So part of our credo is to be involved in the community. Whenever we have a crew out we work nationwide, so whenever we have a crew out someplace, the foreman at least will generally make introductions at the local VFW or American Legion, tell them that we're there and what we're doing and if they need any help. We have several lifetime members of the VFW and the American Legion. I personally contribute to the Martha's Vineyard Community Services, both time and money. What they do is they support the Veteran Affairs, the Dukes County Veterans Affairs out here with post-traumatic stress counseling, which is provided free to the veterans, and I'm both a member of that group and a supporter of it. We participate in the Tennessee Veterans Business Association. So yeah, we're tied in. We march in the parades and all that sort of flag waving stuff. But actually, what I was referring to earlier is one of the business lines that we're just now getting off of the ground was when we were setting this up. We thought, well, what if somebody wants to mow lawns and VRHabilis doesn't want to mow lawns? Well, we actually have a contract now up in Wisconsin. It's a big landscaping contract, and the reason we got it was because we had a couple of veterans that had worked with us on another site, and they said they were interested in starting a landscaping business. So we used our resume as a corporation, their resume as the individuals to run it, and basically got the contract, and now they are, although they're a department under VRHabilis, it is theirs to run. And we hope to do that in a lot of other places where we have somebody that comes in and says, I've always wanted to do this, but I don't have the contacts. Well, we're now just getting to the place where we do have those contacts, and we can set people up in business.
That's awesome. So, Tom, as I mentioned earlier, you're one of 8 incredible finalists in this competition, and I'm just wondering what sets your company apart from the other finalists. If you had a chance to look at some of their profiles and why we selected them as our finalists, what does VRHabilis bring to the table that sets you guys apart?
Well, I think that the big thing that sets us apart is that we I don't know what their philosophies or concepts. One of them is adaptive technology. So keep in mind that the company exists not to make me money, but to give opportunities to other veterans. And of course, yes, I do make money at it, and I like that very much. But the corporate ethos is deeper than that. So the one thing that we work at is adaptive technology, and we came up with that term back when we were finding that we would go down and visit veterans hospitals, and I went down to the Center for the Intrepid down in Texas, which is just an awesome rehabilitation center, and what we found was that industrial technology existed to make well-bodied people more efficient, and medical technology existed to make hurt people more like well people. But there was still a gap in that technology, which we filled with what we call adaptive technology. So what adaptive technology is Elliot and I were sitting looking at a range, and the range was horribly polluted with high explosives, small 40-millimeter grenades, and the range manager couldn't figure out how to clear it. So he's like, well, we'll get a Bobcat, we'll put a forestry head on it, and we'll put a remote control on it, and we'll run it down there. Well, we looked at each other and we were like, hey, you could do that without ever leaving the truck. This would be a perfect job for somebody who wanted to be out on their own, and they could go out there to the range, fire up the Bobcat remotely, they could mow the range remotely, and they'd never have to, they probably have to get out of the truck at some point. But it would be something that someone who is a paraplegic could easily adapt to and do. So that's an example of adaptive technology. The other branch that we use is we call it mass customization of human potential. So one of the things that we like about veterans is they're a known quantity to us. If you've been in the military, we know that you can be trained. We know that you have an idea of what teamwork is. We know that you have an idea of what mission is. We know that you have a concept of loyalty, although, VRHabilis would never expect a veteran to be as loyal to us as they were to their country. But there's known attributes, and those attributes don't suddenly go away because you've lost an arm or an eye or you've suffered a traumatic brain injury. So our idea with mass customization of human potential is to take these people with discrete challenges and figure out how to make them productive in the workplace that they want to be in. So now, with full disclosure, we have not done this yet, but we're very interested in working with people with traumatic brain injury. So one of the fundamental symptoms of someone with traumatic brain injury is that they can't concentrate many of them can't concentrate for long periods of time. So we believe that we can customize the workspace so that they can focus very intently on the things that they're on their tasks, but when they need a break, we'll give them the break, and then they'll come back. Now, a lot of people will say, or the pushback that we've got on that is like, well, you can't possibly be efficient if you've got somebody taking 20 minutes off every half hour. And I disagree with that because I think that individual for that half hour will be hyper-focused and we'll get more production out of them. And the second thing is I don't really care if we're that efficient. You know, if this guy or gal is being productive, is feeling good about themselves, is being productive for us, you know, then we're happy with that. Unfortunately, unfortunately, we haven't found a client who agrees with us on that, or not that they don't agree with it, but they don't understand it. And how that comes through is that when we put our pricing together, if we're anticipating that these individuals, because they're using adaptive technology, which is a little slower, or because we've modified their work environment, you know, our pricing might be higher because we have to anticipate slower progress. And so that we haven't been able to get that to translate to any major customers yet. Private clients, we've done it a little bit. So I think that to more succinctly answer your question, we're kind of arranged from the very first job that we ever went on to 5 years later, to be sensitive to the disabled veterans' plight, to understand things like post-traumatic stress disorder, traumatic brain injury, to understand things like partial paralysis, and to create a workspace where we can adapt around that and use those individuals and you know, and keep them a productive member of our corporation.
Wow. Well, and you said it all when you said it earlier. It's more about the veteran, or you're more about the veteran than you are about the business. I think that's become very clear from talking to you today. Tom, thank you so much. It's been wonderful talking to you this morning, and good luck in this competition. Everyone, please remember to visit VetChampsTourney.com to cast your vote today. Tom, is there anything else you'd like to say?
Yeah. I didn't want you to hang up on me before you know, I was talking with a very good friend of mine this morning about this and why it is important for us, and you know, it's like, oh, it'll be good for business, it'll be good for this, but then, you know, but what we really came to is what I'm hoping is that there's some disabled veteran laying in a bed someplace who gets to see this, or who sees the commercial on Spike TV and goes, holy smokes, these guys will help me and I can work with them, you know, and just because I've lost my legs, or just because I'm you know, lost an arm, that does not mean that you cannot lead a productive life in the field that you choose to be in, because, you know, we will work our best. You know, if you want to come out and pick oranges, or if you want to come out and drive trucks, we will figure out how to get that adaptive technology in place for you to do that.
That's excellent, Tom, and that is so important. Thank you so much for joining us today. And again, everyone, remember to go to VetChampsTourney.com to cast your vote. Thanks, Tom.
Yep, thanks, Lindsay.